Hi, and welcome along to the Invincible podcast with our man Lee Judges in the building. Just before we get started, just a reminder that it's only a few days to go now. On the 23rd of this month of May, we are live with an audience at the Islington Assembly Hall. If you haven't already got tickets for it, click the link in the description. Make sure you join us on the night. I'm going to be there. Lee's going to be there. We've got loads of guests there as well from AFTV. We're going to be doing a Q&A. We're going to be talking about Arsenal season. And we're also going to be revealing who is the AFTV Arsenal Player of the Season. Now, if you want to vote in that, you can get onto the app AFTV Plus right now and put your votes in. But we're going to be revealing that on the night. But as I said, join us. We look forward to seeing you guys on the night. Already loads of tickets have been sold, and we're really looking forward to seeing you guys on the night there. Islington Assembly Hall, Invincible Podcast Live. Lee, good to see you, mate. Now, what have you been up to? I saw you hobbling into here. I know you haven't been too well this week.
Nah, been in bits.
I mean, I've got to say, right, I don't know, man, that you were playing football. I've warned you about this before.
Yeah.
I've said to you, you know what I mean, you're not a 21-year-old William Saliba, you know what I mean?
I know.
You're not an Odegaard. You're not even a Granit Xhaka.
No.
Right? You know what I mean? You're a little bit older than those guys. I know you love playing football, but the time's starting to come where you might have to hang them boots up, mate. I saw that tackle that got put in on you in that game, and you got taken out, and you haven't been feeling too good after.
No, I haven't recovered from it since. Like, you know what I mean? I've damaged all my ribs around the back and that. And I've been honestly in absolute agony, like, you know. I was 75% breathing afterwards, like, you know. So and been passed out.
You passed out?
Yeah, I don't know if you can see that. I went back, cracked my head. Yeah, like
you passed out and cracked your head.
I was in so much pain. I got up to go to the toilet in the night, 3 o'clock in the morning. I obviously live on my own as well, don't I? So. And I just remember coming over all hot and sweaty, and then just waking up on the floor.
Oh my God!
So like, what we think happened was I bashed my head on the banister, and all my head's on this side hurts, and I must have just crashed onto the thing like. Yeah, I've been in absolute bits.
Jeez, you go to hospital?
Yeah, went hospital Monday. Apparently there's nothing you can do with ribs, whether they're broken or not. Yeah, just give you the painkillers and all that. It's more we're worried about your brain. I think I've cracked a couple, and they don't actually X-ray your ribs. No, it's because there's no point. They say
there's no point. You want to know what's wrong with it?
Well, yeah, I know. That's what they say. They don't do it. You know what I mean? It's a weird thing. I don't like. You can wait and have it done, but if you crack, break, or bruise your ribs, the same treatment. The only thing that they're worried about if you crack or break your ribs is you can puncture your lung and things like that. Yeah. So the doctor actually had a go at me for going to the Arsenal on Sunday.
Oh, he said he shouldn't have went?
Nah, because he should, like, just in case I'd punctured my lungs or anything like that, I should have gone and got myself checked out. So if you ever do something like that, go to the hospital, get them checked out, because it is dangerous for your breathing and things like that, like, you know. So yeah, the doctor had a go at me and said to me, you know, you should have come straight down here and got yourself checked out.
Wasted your time going to Arsenal, that's for sure.
I wish I had gone to the hospital after. If I'd known what I know now, I'd have gone to the hospital, like, you know what I mean? So, what a disaster.
That was an absolute disaster, man. I mean, it was such a shame, right? Because what annoyed me about that game was, well, first of all, you know what I mean? Just to put a bit of context on it, we were all flat, weren't we?
Yes.
Right, because
we thought the Everton game
could be the one. I remember you said on the show last week, if they don't beat Everton, it's over, right? And they dispatched of Everton easily. They beat Everton really, really well, 3-0. And then we walk into the game and we're thinking, all right, yeah, we need to beat Brighton, but even if we do, what does it really mean? I mean, these guys only need to win, like, you know, what?
One more
game, 2 more games and it's done, you know what I mean? And, you know, but then even then, like, I think that resonated through to the players. They were really, really poor. They didn't, you know, I mean, the first half was like really a bitty game where nobody really dominated, you know, and I just kept thinking to myself, we're just sleepwalking our way into a defeat here because we're not getting going. And then we give away that first goal, which was horrendous. I mean, I know there was a little stamp on Kivior's foot,
prosthetic.
but come on. And then, yeah, we just fell apart. It was that was our worst home performance of the season by far. And Brighton again. Brighton have got the number on us, haven't they? They beat us last year at home. The previous year, I think they got a draw. Remember, they got a draw with me. I mean, they always seem to throw a spanner in the works at home
as well. You know what I mean?
League Cup, they beat us as well.
Side, didn't we?
Yeah, it's just like mad. They just seem to have that sign on us. You know what I mean? But it was a poor performance. We didn't deserve to win.
No, I didn't deserve to win. And you know, it's been interesting to over the last sort of few days to listen to what other people have been saying about that performance. You know, I didn't really feel angry about the performance, if I'll be honest. But then what other people have been saying, you know what I mean, like through the tailwind, didn't show the same sort of fight. I get all of that sort of stuff, you know what I mean. A really, really poor performance.
And to me, right, when a lot of times this season I've been defending the team when people say, oh, we bottled it and this and that. I say, no, we haven't bottled it. And we're going to come to that sort of stuff, right? We've just, you know, but that one, that was a bottling performance, because basically once they got that goal, I don't know, I didn't see the right intensity. I didn't see the right, you know, I mean, if certain players had the right intensity, and it just looked a really poor performance. We looked leggy as well in the game. We looked so leggy. There's certain players in that team right now, Lee, they look so leggy, right? I mean, Ben White looks leggy. He got destroyed by Mitoma, but he got destroyed so easily.
Yeah, and he's been fantastic all season.
He has been. Yeah. He has been, but he, for me, over the last few games has looked leggy.
Well, listen, I think there's two things that I've sort of took from it. Like, you know, this is the second year now, coming back from international break, we've faltered. For whatever reason, I look at it and think, like, you know, last time, do you remember we played Aston Villa and beaten them, and they went into the international break? Then we had a nightmare, couldn't get it back. And very, very similar traits this season as well.
Yeah. Very,
very similar. Players coming back from, like, you know, I think Saka since the international break, not been at a standard. Partey has been shocking since the international break.
Even when he came on.
You know, Ben White.
Another guy looks leggy, both with Partey. Looks like,
you know. Ben White, of course, has not been there. Shinchenko gets picking up injuries all season, if I'll be really honest. And I just think that, you know, the substitutions from Arteta on you know, were baffling on Sunday. I just think it was just a poor thing all round. And I think really what it is that, you know, and realistically, and I'm not making a defence here, because my mate turned around and said, we've only been playing in 2 competitions all season, and one of them we've been rotating and actually went out at the first knockout stage. And so realistically, we've only been playing 1 or 2 games a week maximum, and we've looked tired and jaded. So the squad's not strong enough, and there's major work to be done in the summer. I'm telling you this now, like, because, you know, there's players like Ben White who I've bigged up all season. You know what I mean? I was watching him, and, you know, Matone was on the right at the beginning, wasn't he? And he swapped him over, because I think he thought, well, I tell you what,
getting no joy out of Tierney.
He weren't getting that much, you know, because he's probably a little bit fresh and all that. But no one's had Ben White this season. Why are they having him now, like, you know? And
tired, man. Looks leggy. Looks tired, you know what I mean? I mean, that's a very demanding position when you play that sort of right wing-back type thing. You've got to get up and down the pitch. You know what I mean? It's a lot more energy required than if you're playing centre-back. You know what I mean? You're up and down all season.
Yeah, that's a great point.
And it starts to catch up with you, you know what I mean? And, you know, we've not really... in that position, there's not been no one to refresh it. You know what I mean? Like, it would have been Tomiyasu.
Yeah, that was a big blow.
You know, but Tomiyasu's been out since, like months now, you know what I mean? So there's been no one to refresh in that area, you know? And I think you've seen the difference between Man City and Arsenal squad-wise, you know what I mean? When I watched that Everton game, you know what I mean? They rested De Bruyne, they rested Grealish, they rested John Stones, but there was no drop off whatsoever, because
that's the thing, Rob.
Yeah, they bring in Foden, they bring in Mahrez, they bring in Laporte. You know, there's just no drop off whatsoever. I think I look at their team and I think the only position I can see there'd be a major drop off in, if a player's out, is Rodri. right? And even then, you got Calvin Phillips. Only because Calvin Phillips has not really got to grips with it. He's a top player.
Yeah.
So that's the question also I wanted to really ask on today's show was, how do we bridge the gap between Arsenal and Manchester City? How do we close the gap? Because we saw them in action in the Champions League. They utterly destroyed Real Madrid. People were having a go at us when we went up there. I thought they got destroyed, Madrid. That first half, Madrid barely touched the ball.
They couldn't get the ball.
They couldn't get the ball. It was like, I couldn't believe it. I'm like, this is Real Madrid with Modric and, you know what I mean, Benzema.
He was kicking the ball out. He was getting the ball, Modric, and kicking it out.
Honestly, right?
Incredible.
You know what I mean? That was an incredible performance. Manchester City are on to do the treble. Who would bet against them now? Inter Milan in the final of the Champions League, Man United in the finals, and they're going to win the league over us. And I remember I was on DR Sports, and we do this show, the Weekend Roundup, and like, you know, after the game against Brighton, everybody was having a go and having their little laugh and stuff like that. And then I posed a question to, you know, because all the other guys represent different teams, you know what I mean? Matisse, Chelsea, AGT, Liverpool, Flex, Man United, Abbey, Tottenham. I posed a question to them. I said, all right, I get why you're laughing at Arsenal. I get the banter. I'd probably be doing the same, yeah, if it was one of you lot. But there's a bigger question here right now. How do anybody in this league right now bridge the gap between yourselves and Manchester City? Because they're about to win the league now for the 5th time in the last 6 seasons. That's becoming Farmers League settings.
Yeah.
Right? Our league is becoming like what Bayern have been doing in Germany and what, you know, PSG are doing in France, and Celtic are doing up in Scotland. So no one's getting near to, you know, we've had some seasons where obviously Liverpool have been the team that have challenged them, but Liverpool have only got past them once. We've challenged them this year. We've pushed them. You know, the amount of points we've got, we would have won other leagues. Right? And even we look at it and we think, boy, Arsenal have slipped up. We ain't lost that many games. We've had a couple of draws and a loss. But their record, their running has been perfect. They haven't, 15 games undefeated. They've won every single one. I mean, that's unheard of. And easily, when you saw that game, I thought it was going to be a tricky game for them against Everton. And they just slapped them offside. And how do you bridge that gap? Because I'm saying to those guys, Chelsea won't bridge that gap next year. I don't care if they're bringing in Pochettino. It's going to be a rebuilding exercise. They've still got lots and lots of problems there. They still don't have a striker. They've got lots of issues there at Chelsea, right? They're not going to bridge the gap. And even when you look at Chelsea, over the past 5-6 seasons since the last time they won the league, they haven't been nowhere near City.
No.
Nowhere near. They've been 30 points off, 20 points off, that sort of thing every season, right? Liverpool, right? They're going to strengthen, you know, no doubt in there's plans to strengthen their midfield. Firmino, a couple of their players are leaving. They're strengthening their midfield, but they were trying to get Bellingham, haven't got the money to do that. So they're going to have to get probably a lesser player to play in that area, and they'll strengthen. And they're a good side, but they're not as good as City. They're no closer to City. They were closer to City before when they had like Mane, Salah, and they were really at their peak. They're on a bit of a rebuild really to try and get back to that level, but I don't see that they'll be the team, right? Manchester United, sorry, you know what I mean? They are still way off Manchester City. They're improving, they're getting better, might get investment. But let's be real, Man United have spent the most money of any football club over the years. Yeah. Let's not forget that. And they still ain't got close to Manchester City, right? Tottenham, forget about it. They're in turmoil at the moment. They even seem like anybody wants to even come in and manage them right now. Harry Kane could leave. You know, they got no chance, right? Newcastle, they're still an emerging team. All right, they've got money to spend, but they're an emerging team. Still going to take them a few years to get close to it. And then you got us. Great season we've had, but we're still going to probably finish 6, 7, 8 points off Manchester City. And what does everybody do to bridge the gap? And more importantly, what do we do? Because I don't really care about the rest.
No.
But what do we do to bridge that gap, to try and get close to Manchester City?
Listen, all these people, all these fans can have a go and have a laugh and a joke and all that because they're relieved. A lot of jealousy in it, like, you know what I mean? They're relieved that we haven't won it because it hides all of their faults of every other club.
Relieved, but they won't be saying that like if we go like 10 years of them winning it straight.
Well, you know, I listen, a couple of facts that you have to look at, like, you know, Manchester United now are turning around and saying, this is Manchester United, by the way, the biggest club in the country. Oh man, Man City ain't our rivals. You know, it's Liverpool. Like, you know, Manchester United, Manchester City. There's a connection. You know what I mean? Like, you know, they've actually give up being the best team in Manchester. We're Liverpool are our rivals. Always have been. Always
will. They're about
to
take away their treble.
They're going to take away their treble. Like, you know, and at the end of it, that was sacred.
Yeah.
But they're happy to see, you know, like, let that go. You know what I mean, for a Caribou Cup.
To be real, right? They know that Man City are their rivals, right?
But they don't want to admit it
because they know they're nowhere near them.
They're nowhere near them. The one team that I do admire, all through all of this, and I was actually speaking to a Liverpool fan coming in today, like, you know exactly what it's like to be a Liverpool fan at this moment in time. Yeah,
you do.
And
because they're a brilliant side, Liverpool, right? Especially over the last few years, right? When they've had Mane, Salah, that Firmino, right? Brilliant side, and still, right? You look at some of the points tallies they've had, and it still didn't overcome City.
And you know, they lost one game and didn't win the league.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and you know, they haven't bottled it or anything like that. It's just been up against a machine that they can't compete with, but have challenged for it. Like, you know what I mean? And that's the thing. You know what I mean? Like Manchester United, all the money and everything. When was the last time they put a genuine challenge in at Manchester City? They haven't done it.
No.
Tottenham done it a few years ago when Leicester won it. That was their last real challenge. Newcastle are coming back and have got to be respected and watched. I'm telling you that now. Like, you know what I mean? Chelsea, as you turned around and said, they've won a few cups over the last few years, haven't challenged since they've won it. Arsenal, for a very, very long time, have not been involved and challenged this season.
Yeah. Only two teams have challenged
this season.
Only two teams have challenged them over the last 6 years. Arsenal and Liverpool.
And one of the things about it, when you can, every fan can have a go at us and laugh and all that, like, but for the first time this season, we're going to Nottingham Forest like they all are, which has been for 15, 20 games. It's just a game of football. Yeah. It's a Premier League game of football. But up until that Brighton game, there's been something riding on it for Arsenal, which is fantastic. Now, how do you bridge that gap? Well, I don't know, because I think Liverpool have been a fantastic team over the last few years. And look at them now. I think realistically, mentally and physically, it's done them. It's done them, you know what I mean? Like, you know, it's going to be really, really hard to. They had Alisson, Van Dijk, Mane, Salah, Firmino, all in their prime for the last 4 or 5 years, and they've been fantastic. They've got one title to go with that. But I will say what I admire about Liverpool, and this is something that Arsenal have got to do, is that they've competed in other competitions as well. They've won the Champions League last season. People saying they had a disappointing season because they won 2 cups. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think that's disappointing.
You know what? That's great. That's great. But your bread and butter, the thing that every fan wants to win,
is the Premier League.
Is the Premier League.
But people are saying that Arsenal have had a good season for challenging.
We have had a good season. We have had a good season for challenging. I don't think.
But they've won trophies along the way as well.
I don't think next year people are going to want to see more than just the challenge now, because the bar's been set. Because we haven't challenged for so long, it's been a good season that we've just challenged. But next season, people are going to want to see more on other fronts as well. But right now, the holy grail for Arsenal is to win that title, right? The holy grail for Man United, the holy grail for Liverpool, for Tottenham, for Chelsea is to win, because none of us have done it for so long. Because right now, the domination of the league is all by Manchester City. And then when you see them play like they did against Real Madrid, you see them play like they did against us twice this season, you're like, well, to close this gap,
I'm really honest.
It's going to be tough.
I'm really honest now. I'll take it as a compliment if you lose 3 or 4-0 against them, because I'll tell you why. Because they up it. When they've played Arsenal, they up it. They've really up. They've gone up a level. I watched them against Real Madrid go up a level. I see them a few weeks ago beat Liverpool. And everybody's going Liverpool rubbish, and I was just talking to Sharoy about that. But realistically, they upped it against Liverpool. They you know what I mean? And that's what's happening. So if you come up against a Man City and they really, really want it and all that, they're a very, very hard team to beat. I was impressed with them last night, but I was more impressed with them the week before when it just went a little bit against them and they kept control, kept their heads and all that. They're a well-oiled, well-coached, well-everything team. And also, not only that, they've got the squad. And that's where Arsenal, I think Arsenal have competed very, very well to go with them. But where we've gone wrong, or where it's all gone wrong for us, is the last 7 games. We haven't got the squad. We've
been a bit unlucky with injuries.
We've been very unlucky with injuries.
Like I said, even when you point out the Ben White situation, him being leggy, and Tomiyasu been out literally virtually since, January?
Yeah, we've had Saliba. Don't forget we've had Jesus out for 3.5 months. We covered that well, by the way. But what was a poignant thing that this Liverpool fella said today, he said the time they won the league, they didn't hardly have an injury.
Yeah, I remember that.
He said that today. He said we had an injury-free season, so you need that little bit of luck. Now, at the end of it, why haven't Man City pick up injuries like everybody else? Because they're only playing 30 games. They're all being rotated, all very, very well. Yeah. So when it comes to this business end of the season, they are fresh. And I'm not making excuses here. It's a fact. They are fresh. The likes of Arsenal, Liverpool, and other teams, all that. You have a look at all the other teams now. You look at it. Forget Man City, Arsenal. Last 3 or 4 games have lost a couple of games. Yeah, Manchester United, the same. You know what I mean? Brighton have had a couple of poor results in their life.
You know what I mean?
They lost 5-1 to Everton. They lost to Spurs. You know what I mean? Chelsea. Well, forget about them this season. I know. But and then you look at all of those teams, all flagging. You know what I mean? Newcastle, been brilliant this season, flagging.
Yep.
Why?
Drew with Leeds.
Why? Yeah, why?
Lost to us.
Because at the end of it, all the teams now are playing on empty. They're playing on empty. The one team that's not, that's got a full tank, is them. It's like the hot hair of a tortoise, isn't it?
He's been able to rotate the team. I was saying to my daughter, I was watching the game the other day, right, and I was saying, De Bruyne has been brilliant for them this season, but I said to her, I remember when De Bruyne first went to City, he had a lot of injuries, didn't he? He had a few little injuries, right? But what Guardiola has done brilliantly with this season, he's rotated him. He didn't play against Everton, you know what I mean? He rested him up so he's fresh for this game. And he's done that a few times with him this season, you know what I mean? He's been able to rest up.
Didn't play him against Spurs.
Yeah.
Both times.
John Stones who had injuries, same sort of thing. He's been able to rotate, and that's what I'm saying, right? For Arsenal now to close the gap, we need a better squad. That's
100%.
That's 100%. I mean, I'm reading this week. I'm sure you've read it as well. That Granit Xhaka looks like he's going to leave. I don't know what your thoughts is on that. To me, again, now I'm looking at it and thinking, well, wouldn't he have been a good player to keep within the squad? Because now, next season, Champions League football. Now, I'm not against him leaving. I think he's had 2 great seasons. The last 2, the previous ones haven't been, but the last 2 seasons, the real Granit Xhaka has turned up, especially this season. I think he's been brilliant this season. I can understand Arsenal not wanting to offer him a new sort of, because apparently like Leverkusen are offering him like a 4-year deal. I can understand Arsenal. He's 30 now. Maybe not looking to offer him such a long-term deal. But if he goes, I think we got, because is Declan Rice the replacement, or are we going to bring in 2 players? Like, there was a rumour earlier on in the week, it was the Times newspaper who said it, that Arsenal are looking to bring in Declan Rice and Caicedo. Now, if that's the case and they're moving on Granit Xhaka, I'm really, really happy. Yeah. Right, that we'd be bringing in players of that quality, because to me, that is what we're going to need to close the gap.
100%.
Right, we need to bring in some top quality players to close that gap. Declan Rice would be a great, because I think he could do exactly what Xhaka's doing, but even better.
Yeah. Listen, but if you're going to get Declan Rice, just say for instance you're getting Declan Rice and you're losing Xhaka, you're back to where you were. Yeah. As far as depth of squad. So what I'm saying is, and what I'm hoping is that Granit Xhaka has been told that we're bringing in Declan Rice and we're bringing in Caicedo, but we still want you to stay. And he's probably thought, well, you know, I'm not going to get much game time there. I want to, and do you know what? I'd be happy with that. I'll be very if them two come in and you know, Granit's done fantastically well. I'll be fuming if that's not the case, though.
Yeah.
We want two. We need two top-class midfield players to go with what we've got to go on, like, you know what I mean?
We're going to have a Champions League, FA Cup, Carabao Cup, all these sort of things to
three games a week where you can't rest players. This season we've been able to rest players in the Europa League and get ourselves through the group stages quite comfortably. We won't be able to do that in the Champions League.
No chance. Could be in a group of death.
It's a group of death. Whatever. You know you're going to go, it's going to be tough. And then in between that, you're going to have a tough game in the Premier League. So to leave ourselves short is going to... Listen, I'm giving everything like credit to the club at this moment in time. You know, Mikel Arteta has won me over unbelievably this season. But next season, because we've got Champions League football, right, our season tickets have gone right up. You know what I mean? Like like a lot more money I've got to pay. Like this because of Champions League football, right? So if I'm putting in my pocket, I want the club putting in their pocket. Like, you know what I mean? Like, because what's the point of it? You know what I mean? Like, you know, have I missed Champions League football? To a certain degree that I have. It's not the be end and end all of it all.
No, I've missed it.
I've not missed getting stuffed 5-1 at
I ain't missed getting stuffed 5-1, but I've missed Champions League football.
Yeah, I've missed Champions League football and all that, but I've not enjoyed it. My last experience of Champions League football's left a little scar. Not going to lie. 5-1 at bloody Munich and 5-1 at home. You know what I mean? Like, so we need to go into that competition and really be, you know, serious. And I do think Arsenal will. I think if Arsenal have got any ambition of being challenging Manchester City, Caicedo and Rice, or players of that ilk will be coming into that midfield. We need two top midfield players to go with what we've got.
Looking around the team, what do we need, right? So, all right, goalkeeper, we're cool. At the back. Now, to me, I think we possibly need a right back as well. Right, even though I know Tomiyasu will be back from injury. Or, if you get Caicedo, seeing him the other day, he can play right back as well.
That is what you got.
So if you get Caicedo, he covers off of a couple of positions, right? I think we need a centre-back. I know we got Kivior, but Kivior's more left-sided, right? Yeah. So that's cover for me for Gabriel. You've got Saliba, you've got Rob Holding. Rob Holding's been a great servant to Arsenal, but I think the time has come now. We've got to upgrade that.
Yeah.
Got to upgrade that. And that person who comes in there has to be a top quality centre-back.
Or could it be
or could it that you move Ben White back into that?
That's what I think.
And then you bring in a full-back.
They're talking about Cancelo, aren't they? Like, you know what I mean? That would be. I'm not saying him, but someone. Now, for real, he can play right back, left back.
Cancelo, two things. Number one, right, will Man City sell us another?
Well, that's the thing, isn't it?
I get the feeling now that they've changed their mind now when it comes to certain things.
They've loaned him out. Listen, Manchester City, look, they loaned him out to a Champions League side in Bayern Munich, like, you know what I mean? And they weren't worried about that.
Yeah.
They're not, they're not be worried about us.
But they had an option on it. 60 million. Now, to me, if he's going to cost 60 million, I'd rather buy Caicedo, who could play as a right back, but also drop into midfield as well.
100%.
Right?
That's where I go.
Cover the right. But definitely, it has to be looked at. The left-hand side, you've got Zinchenko. We don't know what's going to happen with Tierney goes. We need to bring in a left back as well.
Well, I see. For me, I think that, you know, we've got to be sensible about it. You know, we've got to cut our cloth accordingly as well. Like, you know, so for me, maybe Tierney goes. We get some money for him.
Then you've got to bring in a left back.
Well, you've got Tomiyasu that can cover that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
he can do, but
that he done it fairly well. That would be maybe something that they could thinking about doing. If you got to, you know, if you're going to get a Rice and a Caicedo, somewhere along the line you've got to make a sacrifice.
Okay.
So like that would be maybe one that they could do.
Left back though with the injury record of those two. Zinchenko and Tomiyasu.
Yeah,
Tomiyasu's racking up he's racking up a very bad record when it comes to injuries.
That's why they might go for that Cancelo, because he can play left back and right back. So I don't know, but so it'd be a good thing to do for me. Like, I just think also I'm of this thing of saying like centre half, two midfielders, them two midfield. For me, that is the most important thing of the whole team. If you said to me like you can get Caicedo and Rice, but you can't have a forward, I'd take that. I would take that.
I think we need a forward as well.
But we do need a forward, but I would take those two midfield players.
We need either, I mean, there's talk this week about Reece Nelson leaving. There's been talk this week about Reece Nelson possibly signing, they've offered him a new contract. If Reece Nelson stayed, would you still say you'd still need a right winger? I think on the left side we're all right because we've got Martinelli and we've got Trossard.
We need one up there.
I think we need a striker. I do. I mean, all right, Balogun could come back. We don't know what their plans are going to be on Balogun, but Balogun could come back. Also, remember on the left back position, Nuno Tavares could come back.
Yeah.
We don't know what their thoughts are going to be on him. He's had quite a good loan move to Marseille. What happens with him? It's going to be really interesting this summer. I would like to see a striker. I really would.
Would you sell Eddie?
Possibly, yeah.
If you get the right deal.
Because I look on it and I say, Jesus, brilliant, but
he's not lethal, is he? That's the one thing about him.
Not lethal, but it's not even just that. It's that I want a different type of striker.
Yeah.
That in certain games.
Who would you go for?
That's the thing.
That's the thing. The thing is, you've got I think you've got.
I mean, I love Ivan Toney, but now we know he's out until January next year, so that's out of the question.
You got three. I think in that Osimhen at Napoli.
Osimhen at Napoli, at least £150 million.
If you're buying the two midfield players, he's world class. But if you're buying the two midfield players, you can't have him. Tammy Abraham's another one. Or Tammy
Abrahams to me.
I think it's a tough
I like
goal.
Tammy Abrahams, but is that
not the
you're talking about lethal? Is he lethal? There's also I've forgotten his name now. Juventus, the striker.
Oh,
Vlahovic, Dusan Vlahovic at Juventus. There's a lot of talk that they'll be willing to let him go, but he's not been prolific at Juventus. He's not lived up to the hype, which saw him move from Fiorentina.
I remember somebody else coming from Juventus that didn't quite live up to his reputation.
Yeah,
and we done all right out of that.
We did all right out of that one, but that's true. That's true.
So I wouldn't be against that. I quite liked him before he went to Juventus. If I'll be honest, hasn't worked out for him.
Wouldn't be cheap. Again, even though he hasn't worked out, you know what I mean?
Exactly right. It's not going to be cheap. But if you look at it and say, right, we buy them. Say if we just, for instance, we've got 200 million to spend, right? So that 200 million, if you bought Rice and Caicedo, that would nearly be
150.
150 to get both. I'd say 160.
160, yeah.
To get
maybe
both.
Even 170.
Maybe 170. So we're going to say like 170 million to get them. So it gives us 30 million to get somebody else. But if you then say, right, okay, we sell Eddie for 30, 40 million.
Yep.
Right, we sell Smith Rowe for 30, 40 million. Right, Balogun. What would you get for Balogun? Balogun's going to be about 40. Yeah, probably 20,
40 million. Nah, to me, right, I've seen very average strikers going for like 30 million, right? To me, Balogun's a striker. He's very young.
Give him a go. Why don't we give him a go?
How old's Balogun? 20?
22 now, I suppose. Right. 21, 22.
No, I think he's younger than that, and he scored nearly 20 goals this season.
So I would go with him. I'd say you've proved yourself a little bit. You
could do. You could go with him, but I just
Smith Rowe's going to be the one. I wouldn't. But if
Balogun's 21.
If you're saying to someone like, right, you say for instance Arsenal do the business and they have got those two midfield players in, right? Then you've got Vieira as well. You know what I mean? Like, what are you going to do with him? Like,
they're not going to sell Fabio Vieira because this is his second season.
Yeah, but I don't see him contributing much to the team.
I feel Fabio Vieira is one of those players that maybe this was. he's one of them players that you don't see that you're not going to see the best of him till the next season.
Right,
so I'm hoping that he comes through.
And well, he needs to.
He has to. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and then you're looking at where is Smith Rowe going to get into the team? Like, I'm a big Smith Rowe fan, as everybody knows, but I do think that this season, I've been really honest with you, like, you know, we are going to see lots of sacrifice. You know, Xhaka's a sacrifice. You know what I mean? Like, realistically, you know, we're selling him for 10, 15 million. Why? Why?
He's only got 1 year left.
1 year left of his contract. You could actually say to him, right, you know, carry on. But they're going, oh, okay, we'll let you go.
Yeah,
and that's to fund something else.
I feel like what you said earlier is that obviously, you know, he would have said to them, all right, I don't mind staying, but what's your plans?
Yeah.
And because if you're bringing in Declan Rice, I ain't playing every week. I know I'm not going to be playing every week, so what's your plan? So they've obviously given him the plans.
Yeah,
and he's
well, that's what we're hoping. You know,
yeah, he's probably said to himself, I ain't going to be playing a lot.
And if we can get 10, 15 million, that goes into the pot to get something else. You know what I mean? Like Reece Nelson, we're going to get nothing for because he goes on a free. So there is going to be sacrifices. But for me, and I don't mean this all, because football is ruthless. If we're getting, say, Casido, we're getting Rice and we're getting Vlahovic, just for instance, I'm not saying that we are, but those sort of players. And then on the other side, you've got to let Smith Rowe, Eddie go and Tierney go. You're probably going to go with that, Robbie, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, that'd be 3 excellent signings if we did do that.
And that's what it's going to come down to now. We've got to be a bit...
I mean, the forward line,
ruthless.
you know, I mean, you look at Liverpool's forward line and they've got a wealth of riches there. I know they're getting rid of Firmino, right? I think, you know, I mean, then having said that, we have scored a lot of goals this season.
Listen, if we went in with that same... If we went in with that same front four or whatever it is, Trossard, them guys, with Rice, Casido and a central defender, I wouldn't be too...
And I do really want to see us strengthen at the back, man. Like, you know, Saliba was brilliant, but the minute he came out, man, the drop-off is huge.
Incredible.
Right, so, you know, we need to have somebody that comes in there that the drop-off is not huge, you know what I mean? And I just want to see quality only coming in for us. It's the only way to bridge the gap. And then even then, you still look on it and say, even with those suggested signings, there's still not what you'd say. You've said this before. There's no world-class player in Arsenal's team, right? And again, to bridge that gap with City, I mean, they've got a few world-class players. They've got, obviously, De Bruyne. They've got Haaland of world-class quality in their team. I think you could put that Ruben Diaz at the back, centre back, into that category as well, and the goalkeeper. They've got about 4 world-class players in their team, and
the rest are all class.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you what as well. Maybe Arsenal should have a little shout out at Gundogan as well, because he's available on a free.
Yeah, like, you know, quality footballer.
But this is the, you know, they've got quality, and we don't. And don't forget, we don't know what they're going to add as well.
No, well, they're going to add something to it, aren't they? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I look at it yesterday, like, you know, there was rumours that Bernard Silva was going to be leaving at the club and was uncertain. He was fantastic yesterday.
He's
and he hasn't been a regular in that team. No. You know what I mean? Like, so
I'm saying with that's what I'm saying with how you said it. You called it perfectly at the start, right? That the way they're able to rotate, their thing is the epitomising of rotation, and that you've got all of these players are first team players. Mahrez is a first team player. Gundogan is a first team player, right? But they just rotate them in and out, in and out, in and out. It's not really even like
seamless.
You're not dropped, are you?
No.
Rotated in and out, in and out, in and out. Foden, you rotated in and out. You know, he'll do a thing where Foden will have a stretch of like 10 games. He's dropped back out again, and the next man comes in, and you know what I mean. He's the master of doing that, Pep. That's what we got to do.
That is something that I've admired.
But you got to have a squad.
I've admired about him over the lot. You know, I'm going to be really honest with you. Like, I hate Pep now. I know, I really do. Because why? Because he's been a rival now. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, so thank you, Mikel, because I used to just admire what he'd done and everything. Like, but now he's getting on my nerves.
He's too good.
Because he's good. Look what he's done with Walker 5-6 weeks ago. said, "Oh, he's probably not good enough for my team and all that." Like, look at him now.
Yeah.
Look at him now. You know what I mean? Like, that is just getting into someone's head and just giving him a little bit of a kick up the old backside that you need to push on and all that. Like, you know, and he's been outstanding.
And Walker's been rotated a lot.
Yes, they've been left out and all that, like, you know. So they do it with all of their players, and we've got to be able to do that with ours. If Arsenal are going to come, I don't think, like, you know. Listen, I heard what Flex was saying the other day. I don't expect Arsenal to be where you are this season and all that, like, because other teams are going to go here and go there, right? If Arsenal were to get Casido, they were to get Rice, and they were to get Vlahovic, it doesn't mean to say that we're going to win the league.
No.
But what it will do is guarantee us a challenge, better, you know, like, because we'd be a better team and better squad than what we are now, and that, you know, and that will keep us in the hunt for the challenging part. You know, we wouldn't be looking over our shoulder at the other teams coming up. But if we don't buy properly in this summer, we could be looking over our shoulder and, like, you know. But our aim isn't Manchester United at this moment in time. It has been in the past, getting above Man United, Tottenham, and all that, like, you know. What our aim now is to get to challenge for Manchester City. Now, one thing I think has been a massive positive, and it's been overlooked for us Arsenal fans, and we've got to look at it. I came out of White Hart, the new Tottenham Stadium last season, to getting beaten by them, to them having parties on the street because they got top 4. Right, parties on the street, they're going mad and all that. Like, not knocking it, good luck to them, because we'd have probably done the same, party and all that. When we got top 4 this season, did we celebrate it?
No, didn't matter.
Didn't matter.
Yeah.
Did we celebrate in getting above Tottenham this season? Didn't matter. Did we celebrate coming second this season? No, because it didn't matter. So that's the standards we've set now. We weren't partying on the street.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When we
wanted a big prize.
We wanted a big prize. That's what you've got to be aiming for. You know what I mean? Aiming for the big prize. We tried for it this season, we fell short, but we was aiming for it. But no one I know was celebrating when we got, we're guaranteed Champions League football. We have a song about it, right? But we never celebrated it like we would have done last season. I'm not knocking Tottenham. This is not having a dig at anybody, because if we would have won that game last season at Tottenham's ground, we'd have been celebrating of getting into the top 4. But this season we've not celebrated it because we was pushing and trying to get the title, and we've got to be doing that again next season. Like, you know,
and the only way to do that is to strengthen. Of course, there is a game this weekend. Doesn't seem like it. But the last away game of the season, Nottingham Forest away.
No pressure.
No pressure, difficult game. If we lose the game, City have won the title without even kicking a ball.
Yeah,
right?
So part of me says, like, that's all right.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Nottingham Forest have actually, I know we beat them 5-0 at home earlier on in the season, absolutely destroyed them. But Nottingham Forest at home are a different proposition.
Yeah.
And they've actually beaten us the last 2 times we've played them at home in the FA Cup. Remember, you know, they've given us a hard time. We know that it's a ground. It's a great atmosphere there, you know. And add to that the fact that Nottingham Forest are fighting for their lives right now. I mean, it's precarious for them down at the bottom. They really need a win to.
Well, a win would.
I think a win would probably secure them out of the relegation zone. Now, you know, would probably secure their future in the Premier League. What sort of team would you play on Saturday? Because I was thinking about it the other day, and I was like, last 2 games of the season, I'd make a lot of changes, you know. I'd make some changes. I don't know if it's the right thing to do because, you know, the integrity of the league and everything like that, and we're not going to win the league now. It's done. They got 3 chances, Manchester City, to win the league. They got Chelsea at the weekend. You saw what they did to Real Madrid. What the hell are they going to do to Chelsea? You know what I mean? Knowing if they win that game, they win the league in front of their own fans, right? So to me, I'm not saying the Forest game doesn't matter. I want to go there and I want to win that last away game. Let's try and get as many points as we can. But I'd be looking to make a few changes, Lee. I'd start Reece Nelson for starters.
Yeah, I would start Reece Nelson in place of Saka.
No, I wouldn't start him in place of Saka. I'd start Reece Nelson on the left-hand side instead of...
Martinelli's out.
Martinelli's out, and I'd start him on... When he came on that left-hand side,
yeah, I would now.
Brilliant.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah,
right. I'd start him. Maybe a shout for Smith Rowe to start the game as well.
In place of?
Maybe starts instead of Xhaka. I don't know. It's a tough call in a way. I don't know. I want to see some changes, man. Because
I don't think. I don't. I think like the one change is Nelson coming in. Because do you know what? I think he deserves it. His cameo performances, you know, when he's come on as a sub, he's made things happen.
The other player start be Eddie.
What, Eddie instead of Jesus? Why? We put him in the shop.
No, just a bit of a reward for saying, you know what, you've done well this season for us, especially when things was going against us. And it's 2 games to go. Go out there and try and get a couple of goals. Start. Put Jesus on the bench.
Well, I don't think Jesus has been that bad.
No, he ain't. No, I'm not. It's not because Jesus has been bad. It's just that I'm sort of saying.
You're being too nice, Robbie.
Season's done, man. You know
the season's done, but you've still got to finish it off well. You've still got to.
Yeah, but all right, not a wholesale change. A couple of changes.
I agree with you on a couple of changes. And also, it ain't fair on the likes of Leeds and Everton and teams like that if we start doing that. You know what I mean? We wouldn't like it. Arsenal fans
after I saw Pickford's performance in goal the other day,
and West Ham done it. West Ham done it and all that.
Yeah, West Ham rested players. Remember when they played City, Declan Rice and all that were rested.
Yeah,
right. And I understood it because you know they
gone off West Ham, by the way. Coming home on no, I have. I've had a little soft spot for West Ham, but coming home on Sunday after, and I bumped into a few West Ham fans, and they're all singing, that we're having a party because Arsenal messed it up and all that, like, you know what I mean? Yeah. So, a bit harsh. They just lost 2-0 to Brentford, you know what I mean? This is what I'm saying about these clubs. They don't realise what, Yeah. You know, but listen, good luck to Alkmaar tonight.
But yeah, Forest, and then we finish off with Wolves. But you think we'll beat Forest?
Yeah, why not? I think.
I mean,
Forest,
we're better on the road. We know that.
Yeah, we are better on the road. Listen, I think that Forest have done. Do you know what? I want Forest to survive. I'm going to say this now. And the reason I want them to survive is because they're stuck by the manager that got them to promotion. Yes. You know what I mean? They was down, and when he took over, they was bottom of the Championship, right? And that, to me, to get them into the Premier League, he deserved every opportunity to make them stay. And if they stay, I think that's well done to the board and everybody that's backed him. If things go wrong next season, that's a different thing then. But I think that he deserved his.
And think of all the changes that were made at that club. You know what I mean?
Horrendous, really. And I think at the end of the day, I would like to see him survive on that.
Yeah. I think if they win, they survive, innit? Because they've got 34 points, so they're 2 above Leeds at the moment as it stands. 3 above Leeds, 2 above Everton. If they were to win, and there be like 1 game left, although they ain't got a great goal difference. But if they was to win, Leeds can't catch them.
Yeah, so
Leicester wouldn't be able to catch them, so they'd be so they're going to be going all guns in that game. They've got so much to play for.
It's their last home game of the season, so what they'll be saying is their last home Premier League game. Listen, tough game. Another reason that I want Nottingham Forest to survive is that they took a point. They did take points off Man City for us,
They did. They took a point off City.
And give us a little bit of hope that day when we beat Villa. So, listen, it'd be a difficult one for us. I'm really looking forward to going there because, like, the last couple of times we've gone there is in cup games. This would be a different experience being in the Premier League for a long, long time. And I do think that Arsenal have. I think Arsenal is very, very important that we just see the season off. I've said this time and time again. We don't peter out and end up like so many points behind them. And when you look at the table at the end, it says Man City 10 points for. It doesn't really give a real reflection of that we've gone toe to toe with them most of the season. You know what I mean? So I think it's important that Arsenal try and win the game. And I do think that we're a much better team defensively away from home. That's something we've got to address next season.
That,
But win these next 2 games, I don't see too many changes.
Yeah. All right. Well, listen, we'll find out. Don't forget to check out our previews of the game, and also starting 11 as well. Predicted 11. I think in that I'm going to be giving you my 11. I'm making a few changes, man. So make sure you check that out. Also, don't forget, the Invincible podcast is coming to you live with an audience. We've already sold a load of tickets. It's the big one on Tuesday, the 23rd of May. Me and Lee are going to be there. Lots of the rest of the AFTV crew, Turkish, Cecil, James, Ty's going to be there. We're going to be doing a Q&A. We're going to be speaking about the season. You do not want to miss it, and you're going to get a chance to ask as many questions as you want, and it's going to be a real little celebration. And of course, we will be crowning our player of the season, right? So you'll be able to find out who that is on the night. So make sure you get your tickets. The link is in the description. It's at the Islington Assembly Hall, Tuesday the 23rd of May, and it's going to be brilliant. I'm so looking forward to seeing you guys. So make sure you come down on the night. Lee, take it easy, mate.
Yeah,
Go and rest up.
I'm going to rest up now till Tuesday.
You're going to be fit for that thing on Tuesday.
I've got to be fit for Tuesday, like, you know what I mean? And if you do meet me on Tuesday, don't be bashing me on the back, like, you know what I mean? Don't want no pats on the back, like, you know?
And listen, we look forward to the game on Saturday. Arsenal going to Nottingham Forest. We'll both be there. Make sure you check out all the fan cams and that after the game. Last home game of the season. We've been brilliant on the road. Let's hope we can finish it off in style on the road against Nottingham Forest. And then, of course, next week, last game of the season. Oh, why couldn't we have taken it to the last game? But it is what it is, man. It is what it is. It's been a great season. It's been, a season where we've been challenging. It's a shame that we didn't challenge right down till the end, but we keep going. Thanks for watching the show. Subscribe here, and we'll see you next week. Download the podcast at all your normal outlets. The Invincible podcast. Myself, Robbie, and Lee Judges come together once a week to discuss all things Arsenal. Straight talking, considered discussion, brought to you by the fans of the only club in Football League history to go invincible.